The more you keep masturbating, you are exposing yourself to things like premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, and the sensitivity, as you're saying.
The more the men do it, you may have what you call penile edema, that is a swelling of the penis, which comes because of the frequent friction, unnatural friction. Once you irritate the skin, of course, the body will try and now, protect itself. And that leads to that edema, swelling, pain, during that. There is something that has been recorded, and it's called DHAT syndrome, DHAT. And this was noticed in South Asia, where men actually do quite a lot of, have a lot of masturbation. So what happens is that they naturally find they go to pee and there is sperm in the urine.
Oh, it is local.
It's local even.
Local.
Welcome once again to Shared Moments with Justas. We are here to talk about reproductive health conversations. This is proving to be one of those shows that I'm dying for every other week. And sure enough, we have had such wonderful conversations that are not just meant to entertain, but to provide information that is going to make your life much better and meaningful. Last week we talked about erectile dysfunction, and it just gave birth to more problems and things that we need to really go back and address. And so today we have such an interesting conversation because it's a follow-up, but most importantly trying to make sure that we don't leave anyone behind. So let me introduce my guests. As usual, Caro, your health coach.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Naturopathic health coach, among many things.
Yes.
Which other things?
I am a sexual and reproductive enthusiast, educator.
Right.
I enjoy these conversations, and up and above that, I am a philanthropist through a Health Sister Foundation. So I help cancer patients to pick up the pieces after I went through the journey, and I knew how hard it is to pick up the pieces.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
And of course, Dr. Kireki Omanwa, you know him, you've seen him before, and you will keep seeing him because he is such a resource when it comes to issues fertility, because they are at the center of our conversations here. He's also, of course, a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, and he's doing so many things that I'll allow him to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me once again to the studio. And as you've said, yes, I'm a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. I teach at the University of Nairobi, Department of Obstetrics and Gynaecology. And also I'm the president of the Kenyan Obstetrical and Gynecological Society.
Beautiful.
And I think this is a wonderful forum to share information which we get from our viewers, and also from our side, our experiences, what we've had. And I think it's a very good platform.
Good. Now, Doctor, you created a problem last week.
Which one now?
We thought we were dealing with a problem that was affecting men when we were talking about erectile dysfunction.
Yes.
Not knowing that actually women were affected more by men's inability to satisfy them sexually. When we have men who are suffering from erectile dysfunction, then Caro said that we are actually creating animals in our wives and women once they feel starved from this basic need that is sex.
Yes.
And we are talking about issues of masturbation and the use of, help me here, sex toys,
Yes, gadgets.
which is coming in the form of trying perhaps to justify the problem that we were dealing with last week.
Yes.
That we have men who are not able or capable of meeting their women's or wives' sexual needs. And so women have resulted to thinking of alternative ways of meeting that need and remaining in relationships for the face of it.
Yeah, quite something.
It's
Actually, I was
very
talking
sad,
with a friend of mine the other day, and And I saw something actually on one of the pages. I can't remember whether it was on WhatsApp or one of these pages. And what I saw actually shocked me. I was discussing with my wife, and I showed my wife, and she was like, yeah, that's where it is going. And what it was is that it is a structure, a male, with a six-pack, and of course with a penis.
A plastic man. Like
I think it's silicone.
Oh.
Because he has all these features
Of a man.
and and our
so
ladies,
he's like a doll, a big
it's
doll.
like a big doll, and with a six-pack, by the way,
The size of a real man.
Sisi took on a one-pack.
Hey, where are we going?
And of course the organ was there, and I think it's adjustable in size.
Oh.
Hey.
Yeah. So I looked at it and I said, Lord help us. Where are we going? Now I think and it was like I saw some of the comments like, yeah, this is good. This is something which is
we are
good,
sorted.
Yeah, Sasa, we don't need men. And then the other time I saw something on Facebook. Somebody had I think it was
Cucumber.
a cucumber, and had actually put a condom on it, and it had been thrown on the side. So somebody took a picture and said somebody has thrown away her husband. And I was like, where are we coming to?
Yeah.
Where in the world are we going? That notwithstanding, the structure that I told you about, a man with a six-pack and whatever, they had made something else, also silicone. And it has all the features of a woman. Those ones who like big breasts, they're adjustable.
Oh.
Those ones who like a big bum, they're also adjustable. And it was there, and it's there in the market. The ones who love
and it feels
and it's silicone, and it feels very realistic. And of course, the private part, the vagina, is also there. The ones who love, long lips or whatever it is. I mean, just the imagination that has gone into this. And then I asked myself, where have we gone wrong? Is it because men have erectile dysfunction? But even if they had erectile dysfunction, why are they creating these women as well? Women, in quotes, why are they creating them? Then when I read a little bit further, it turned out that the biggest market of these gadgets are actually some of the Asian countries, like Japan, and others. And the reason they say that this is their biggest market, and by the way, they are not cheap. They are not cheap.
I'm actually very stuck on how do I order? How do I receive? And then when you visit me in my house, you'll come and find him. I'm very stuck there, but maybe
you keep him in a closet. Him.
And then you are in charge.
Yeah.
Now. This is a man who does
those
not...
are the things that are running through my mind when you're sharing this, and I'm asking myself, then that is not, what have we reduced sex to?
But you see, you said that one of the most difficult, or one of the worst things, is a woman who has been, unsatisfied, a woman who is unsatisfied,
Let me shock you.
Sexually.
Let me shock you.
Go ahead.
The satisfaction that I'm talking about as a woman, at some point when you are young, or when at a certain age, you think it's ejaculation. Until you use that plastic man or the cucumber.
Yes.
And then you release. And maybe the body feels good.
Yes.
And then you need a hug. And the cucumber cannot hug you.
But you can carry it in your bag and whatever you want.
Or sometimes, especially at a certain time of the month, there's a time I just need a masculine touch.
Perhaps, whatever it is that we are looking out for,
we
don't know it. We don't know what it is. So we're trying to find it in so many things.
So you are sorting. So in short, maybe it's like taking the blue pill to think that it's sorting for that moment. I felt really sad, but I'm really truly sad.
Shocked. Yeah, unfortunately, it is there.
Very sad.
Something that touched me the other day. I was watching a documentary about one of the I think it's a cult, or Hasidic Jews, and they're very family oriented. And when one of the gentlemen was talking about it, said, they don't meet their wives before, they don't they don't have premarital sex, and they meet their wives maybe through a matchmaker. The matchmaker says, I think there's a man somewhere who is with you. And once they say, and they say that it's actually even in the I think it's in the Talmud, that sex is in darkness, complete darkness. So you can't see where what is happening. But then something that he mentioned made me, said, we actually don't talk about sex. We talk about intimacy. It is you dissolving yourself in this other person. And I think that is where we have lost it.
Yes,
So with this man that we have who is silicone and
Yeah.
who has a six-pack, and this lady whom I can adjust the size of whatever I want, we have lost that intimacy.
Yeah.
So what we have is just a mechanical sort of action.
which then socially will bring so many problems. Like the whole time we are talking, I'm thinking now in the bigger picture, this bigger
Let me
social
actually take you
problem.
back, Carol, because
Yes.
how did we find ourselves here? Young boys who in their, early years are trying to explore, discover their body, and because of the technology and all those kind of things,
Yes.
they have an avalanche of information. We have boys who are hooked to pornographic content.
Yes, I'm currently working with a boy who is addicted. You see, addiction takes long. At the age of 10, addicted.
At the age of 10.
Yes.
10 years.
Yes, 10 years. He went to his
Addicted.
mom and told mom, please save me from this thing. I'm like, which man? You see, I watch pornography and then I touch myself and now I can't stop. At 10 years. 10.
What is that process like for it to make sense? Why it becomes then an even bigger problem in later years? What is happening when someone is trying to pleasure themselves,
Yes.
perhaps by use of aids like pornographic content and things like that?
You see, when you talk about addiction, whether we talk about addiction to alcohol, addiction to cigarettes, addiction to chocolate for women who love it, addiction to whatever it is, you can be addicted to practically everything. The thing that happens during in the process of addiction is that you do whatever it is for whatever reason, and then it pleasures you. The brain releases what you call endorphins, and endorphins are the good feel hormones. So you feel nice. It's like a reward for something that you have done. So you do that once, I feel, that was good.
Yes.
And then something happens. You remember, if the other time I did this and I felt okay,
Let
so
me
you
do
go
it
back
again.
and do it again. And then you feel so nice. So that process, you actually create a pathway in your brain and says, if you're going to feel this way, if you do this, or if you eat this, or you do this, you'll feel better and you'll feel relieved. So that is the process that starts. So at 10 years is addicted, I think that is a very, very sad story.
A very sad one.
Extremely sad
I
story.
have an even sadder one of a
Yes.
mother who is a mother to a 10-month-old baby.
Yes.
When a woman is breastfeeding, of course, some women, their breasts are very sensitive.
Yes.
And so each time the boy is breastfeeding, the mother will feel the sexual arousal.
Yeah.
And so she goes and plays with the boy's penis and tries to find pleasure from that.
And that is her son.
That's her son.
You know, that is molestation.
Yeah.
So where are we going? So she gets arousal from
from
the son.
from the son's breastfeeding. So I think for me, I go back, all these things we are talking about, because they are saddening to even talk about, but we must talk about them.
Yes.
We must,
Yes.
because we made an agreement that we are going to the place where these conversations are not being done, and we will have them. And we will not be afraid to say it as it is. We must have these conversations. I think it goes back to how we have put value to things that are not important. And then we blame it on the society or on something that is not going right. And we keep going back for the feel-good hormones from the wrong places. And it still goes back. Why I, as a woman, I'll need sex toy to satisfy myself is just for that release. And because we think sex is that release.
Only.
Just that. And what that is doing, it is growing a population that is highly depressed with other mental health issues because they are trying to cover up. Every time you have a problem, you will go and masturbate and you think you feel good instead of sorting that problem. You keep piling and piling, and that is also explaining why even some of these suicidal cases are going high. This is why abuse is going high. We are literally very toxic. We are allowing a lot of toxicity in our society. Look at the content that is trending highly. It is the one that will be exposing the opposite of what we are talking about.
In fact, right now on some of the social media platforms, at least here in Kenya, there are times of the day or night, mostly at night, there's an app where
People come and
a lot of young people assemble. They don't sleep. When you guys are sleeping, they're not asleep.
they do what?
Sharing nudes, and those kind of things. Everyone is live. They are live.
They are live.
Yes, they are live
At night.
at night. You want to see more, you pay more. You want to
What am I paying for? To see the dudes.
see me and whatever part of me you want to see.
And whatever I'm doing.
And whatever I'm doing.
Whatever is happening.
Yeah.
And so, as a parent, as like I'm putting myself in the shoes of I'm a mother to a teenage girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
So me, I'm assuming she's in her bedroom and she doesn't have friends and she's a good girl.
She doesn't
but
go
that
out.
is what
She
she's
doesn't go out,
watching.
Yeah. She spends her time in her room. She's a good girl. She,
Or a good
doesn't associate
or a
with
good boy
boys
for
or
that
a good boy for that
matter.
matter.
Yes. What was brought to my eyes without knowing was when someone told me that she got addicted to masturbation and pornography through reading the novels. You see, when we tell our children to read and the cult to adopt the cult, I never really thought about how extensive pornographic material is, other than the physical ones that we think, but those fantasies that they get from the novels. There's a friend of mine who told me she got addicted to pornography and masturbation when she was in high school through the novels.
Wow.
So where do they hide now? Where do we hide our children?
You can't hide. It
We
starts
have to
with
have
having
this
these kind of
conversation.
conversations.
Yes.
And-
because if we encourage them to read and they read such material, we try to say, okay, fine, we should limit the time of, TV time or exposure to some of these programs. But they have...
And even these programs, you will be shocked.
Yes.
I've seen these programs that we think cartoons, we think that they're entertaining our children.
Yeah.
But if you ever sit down and watch them, you'll be shocked at the kind of content that is there, that they are being exposed to.
Not only the content, but the subliminal messages.
The messages that are being
Exactly.
sent.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you convince a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 10-year-old boy or girl who is finding pleasure
Yes.
in
Masturbation and pornography.
Yes.
It is giving them the feel good,
The feel-good hormones.
the reward. It's a good thing. So how do you tell them that actually what feels like good now
Not good.
is actually a recipe for something catastrophic?
Wow, that's a difficult one. I don't know what you did with a 10-year-old or what you are doing.
That's what I'm doing with them. So that is when you go back and understand, first of all, this is not a physical problem. This is a psychological problem.
Yes.
And we have to go back to where it began. First of all, already by the time they are coming to you, they are feeling judged. They have judged themselves almost to death. Some people who commit
At least
suicide.
those who come.
Yes,
to
at
you.
least those who come.
Yes.
But before, the others who even commit suicide because of the and there's nothing as bad as internal guilt. So by the time they're coming, the first thing we need to do, I feel as Carol, we need to do as a society is first create these platforms. Number two, when this happens, there are some who are already in it. It's not time to beat them up. It's time to first call them, hear them, and know why. I've been encouraging sessions with teenagers and even younger people, and I listen to them and I'm shocked every time because I'm thinking I know things and I realize I had no idea. And some of the things why they are doing it. So you have to understand why they are doing it. And that means as a parent, we have to be friends to our children so that we can be able to notice some of these things. Like when the mother brought the boy because she was so confused, It was because the boy was sure, if I tell mom now, maybe she'll save me from this.
Yes.
So she said, Mom, please help me, save me from this thing. So she asked, which thing? So when he explained, even the mother was in shock. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know where to go. She thought of Carol. So she came and I was like, God, this is, what do I do with this one?
Yeah.
So let us first call them, those who are already in it, even the young adults. And then you also make it, you have to be very firm. You make it very open. It's okay, you can keep masturbating. You keep masturbating, but at 30, you will try to have an erection you won't have. It's okay, you go ahead and do it. Tell them the real concept. Wacha kuambia is ni mbaya. No, tell them the whole truth.
Scientifically,
Yes.
what is happening that then makes this habit more of a problem in future when someone, you know, is used
Or
to
the
it?
release of the good hormones.
Yes.
What will it, how will it affect you
Because
in future?
we want a good you know, the release of good hormone
Yeah.
in our life. So you are telling me at 14, at 13, when I'm masturbating and I'm feeling good, that you know, it's not as good as I'm feeling. What is
Wait, before he answers that, may I
Yes.
interject a bit?
Yes.
And I think we need to go back and ask ourselves, why is it that if we are not looking for good hormones in pornography and masturbation, we are looking for it in drugs? So this generation, they have told me something. For us, we don't use drugs. Like for them, we made them think, because previously we never told them the whole story about drugs.
Yeah.
We made them think drugs is the worst. Now the good for hormone, let it come from pornography. So
But you see, I think one of the biggest pitfalls is that when you do it once and you feel nice, and then after some time you'll want to do it again and you feel nice, that threshold sort of starts going up,
right?
such that you will have to do it 2 times, 3 times in order for you to get
Sometimes
that
even
same
5 times.
feeling that you had right at the beginning. So what happens to this is that sometimes you have to do it 4 times a day, 5 times a day, and then you find that your mind is fixated on doing just that. So in as much as it's that good feel hormone, but it is affecting now your life, it's affecting your social, your social status, it's affecting your education, it's affecting your interpersonal relations, so until it becomes like you're just obsessed to do just that in order to get that high.
And nothing else is moving. If you are
Nothing
in
else is
school,
moving.
you have no time.
No time
no
for
time
this.
to
You're
do
just
it,
thinking about
yes.
this. If you are at work, but you're looking for a gap. You just disappear and you go and
Even they
do
leave
that.
church.
Even
in the
they
middle
leave
of
church.
church.
Yeah, and so on.
The
So
urge is too much.
I think that is the biggest problem,
Wow.
and that is what needs to come out very clearly. That once we start doing this, say, but it's not a drug. I'm not doing cocaine. I'm not doing bangi. I'm not doing this. But I'm doing this in the seclusion of my bedroom, and I'm not affecting anybody. You are actually affecting yourself. You are affecting your life, and you are actually investing in affecting your future as well. So the interpersonal relationship, because we say we are bringing up our children such that they'll be normal human beings, to be able to work, in a social environment, to be able to take care of themselves, take care of a family, and so on. So this addiction to masturbation and pornography actually comes in the way, it becomes a hurdle. Because when you look at what is on pornography, what those people do there,
It's unrealistic.
So you imagine that this person who is going to share your life with you is actually going to do what? Going to do exactly what you have
And
been
if they
watching.
don't,
Then it becomes a problem.
Which they will not.
Which they will not.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
He says, she's not fulfilling that criteria that I've been watching, or he is not fulfilling that criteria that I've been. So he's not actually the right person. So let me go and look for that person. Or instead of actually going to look for that person, let me continue watching that.
So you cover up.
So you
Instead of
cover up
solving
for
the
that,
problem, you go look for this partner, you drop, you look for another one, you drop. So you thought you you are not affecting someone when you are doing it alone.
Yeah.
And there's those who are arguing with me and telling me I don't want another heartbreak, so I'm not breaking anyone's heart. So you thought it was just about you, but all the other hearts that you will break in future looking for this person and this person. I have two maids that I would want to ask. There's this argument that these young people will tell me, and they say there's one thing that I've been told, that as a man, when you keep masturbating, the penis will shrink. Is there something scientific to? Is there any relationship?
No.
There's no relationship.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No, there's no relationship.
Then they say you will get prostate cancer if you don't keep removing the sperm. So they keep ejaculating so that they can get prostate cancer.
Perhaps as you respond to that, tied to what effect does it have to the physical, to the sensitivity of the organ, and how does that affect your sexual life in future?
Now, first of all, there's something I wanted to say, but it has escaped me. But maybe I'll come back to it, shortly. I wanted to say that I've had some couples who come to me, again, the issues of infertility, and once we finish the medical history, the surgical history, and so on, please go and do this test, and come back so that we can review what the problem is. The lady comes back and says, Daktari, there's something I wanted to tell you, which I could not have told you in front of my husband. My husband is addicted to pornography. You're married, but you're still addicted to pornography. Yes. So I said, but how long has this been going on? Because that is something that we ask. He said it has been going on since we got married. We've been married for 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. We've got married. So you have here this beautiful person, and whatever, but you still live, forsake this person to go and watch something else being done, and then you pleasure yourself, you get pleasure. Now the
and you ejaculate the sperms that she needs
to have a baby. That she needs to have a baby. Yeah. And then one of them told me, my husband works, does some a job whereby he's out of the country and he's in different places for a very long time. But of course, as we said, this gadget, he has access anytime, anywhere. And even when he comes home now, when, as you said now, women, that intimacy that you feel, you need that male touch and whatever. The guy is not interested. Guy goes to the bathroom, stays there for hours, and if she goes to knock, and actually when the guy comes out very annoyed, na itakuwa ni vita that day in that home. So
because he doesn't know how now to connect with her.
Absolutely.
He's connected to the magazines.
It actually disconnects you to the human.
Completely.
Completely. Yes. So here they are struggling to have a baby, and here he is wasting his sperm, which she needs urgently in order to have that baby. So a disconnect out of this world, and of course, creating huge misunderstanding.
I also think that erectile dysfunction, the men who masturbate a lot, they might be exposing themselves to erectile dysfunction because they are used to using their hand. I assume men use hands. I hope there is no cucumber for men.
You are told they are mannequins. No?
They are mannequins. They are mannequins which are adjustable.
So you can adjust to whatever size you want.
There you go.
So you are used to using your hand, which is you can adjust to whatever, and then you can do whatever you want. And then now you are married, and you have a woman here, and you want to go and have intercourse with her. Your hand and her vagina are not the same.
They're completely
different. It's completely different. So the first thing what happens is maybe when you go in, you'll find it's warm in the most natural way as God created it.
And the friction is
not the same. And the texture is not the same. Right. And so this man will always say, I have erectile dysfunction. But when I do it with my hand, it is I'm okay. Or I have premature
ejaculation. That is now the psychogenic one, whereby psychologically I can be able to do it with this, but with this one I don't have a problem. With this other one I always have a problem. I'm not
able to do it. But then you see the texture is not the same, the size, it's totally different. So the more you keep masturbating, you are exposing yourself to things like premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, and the sensitivity, as you're saying. The sensitivity will change because the texture, the size, the shape, the lubrication. Because I hear they use solid oil to do that. It's a very
It
sad.
also leads to negative self-image. Yeah, because we kept on talking about. We said, erectile dysfunction actually has a negative effect
Yes, on
us,
yourself,
on the
yes.
way men see themselves. That I'm not able to actually have an erection and so on. But masturbation, you have that erection, but you're not using it in the way
Right.
it is supposed to
Yes,
be.
you will start asking, why am I having an erection for my hand and not for a woman?
Up.
Wow.
So it takes you away from the social, boundaries
And
of.
that now makes the woman frustrated more. Especially now, I want to imagine what your client as a woman goes through.
Yes.
This person is traveling all the time.
Yeah.
They come home. Even when maybe I assume when he's traveling, I see people who are doing sex, phone sex. Phone sex is something that is very common these days.
What is phone sex? Sorry. Maybe you're not from this century,
we have
but
sexting. Sexting. That's where
Yeah,
I
we have
think it
sexting.
started.
Now we have the video.
Now we have
the we can have sex on phone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
You'll
I call
put the video. I'll get naked. You'll get naked, and
Hiya. No, we can laugh about this, but it's a sad
I
state
actually
of
know.
affairs.
I have a client who told me that now she's dating someone in the diaspora,
Yes.
and so every once a month he pays for a hotel room
Yes.
for her to go so that they can have sex on phone. I know it's too complicated.
Okay.
So
So I pay for a room.
Yes.
So he or she goes into this room.
Yes.
And then
She'll put the phone there. Because
Yes.
you see there are children in the house.
Yes.
That's why they are paying the room. So he'll put the phone there, and I will do every acrobatic things that I would do if you were here.
and he's in the
And
US.
and he's also
And he
watching and doing
responds.
his
So
own
and
acrobatic
responding to the acrobatics on
Yes.
phone.
Yes.
Haki walai.
So you help each other until you. So that explains why we have so many frustrations. There's quite a number of people who will walk in, especially women, who will tell me, my husband is there, but
Yes.
he's just like an object. He has given me a good house. He has given me, but he can't even touch me. He can't even hold me. There's a disconnect because he's connected to other things. So we are literally becoming disconnected in the things that we were supposed to be connected, emotions.
Right.
The phone sex thing, hiyo ni mpya.
Umenishtua na six pack sasa. The silicone man. That's how I felt with the silicone man, because I was asking, if I have a silicone man, so how do I have sex with him?
Yeah, just
Because as a woman,
you arrange it the
let
way
me-
you want.
let me
Unampanga.
tell you something. You guys are men. Let me tell you something. A woman wants to feel that touch. And anytime a woman, why we don't want a weakling man is because sometimes a part of us wants to be suppressed. When an authority, when you give me some authority, I know I have a man. Now imagine a silicone man. That is why there's a certain percentage or a time of the month when I want a missionary style as my sex, so that I can feel suppressed.
Yes.
Then there's a time of the month when I want to ride on top. Because as a woman, what will fulfill me is that submitting to that authority.
Yes.
So how do I submit to a silicone man?
Asa nakukalia tu kabisa.
How do I submit? Because that submission is a part of the emotion, affection, attention, and appreciation we were talking about.
Yes.
It speaks to the things that we have lost.
Yes.
The priorities
Yes,
and the values.
we have
Yes.
changed
the
our
flip-
priorities.
Yeah.
Completely.
And we
Such
think
that as much as it is surprising to many, there are those who are wondering why we are making such a
why
big
is it
deal
such a big deal?
out of
This
these
person,
things that
this.
are, for the 21st century.
Yeah.
Yani nyinyi mnaishi wapi?
But there's
Even
so
as we
much,
are having this conversation, there are people who are looking at it from that perspective. They're like, what are you guys doing?
But deep down they are lonely. Deep down they are sad. Deep
But
down
coming back to the masturbation and the pornography that we are talking about, it's a huge industry.
Yes.
It's what billions
Yes,
of
yes,
dollars.
and that's
and we're actually feeding into this industry you know, by giving it in without thinking about, you know, the consequences, you know, down the road. You know, about masturbation, we talked about it. We talked about, you know, the possible consequences. The more the men do it, you know, you may have what you call penile edema. That is a swelling of the penis, which comes because of the frequent friction, unnatural friction.
Help us
Unnatural.
understand that one.
Unnatural.
Unnatural friction
So
causes
you irritate the skin.
Yes.
Once you irritate the skin, of course, the body will try and now, you know, protect itself.
Okay.
And that leads to that edema, swelling, you know, pain, you know, during that. There is something that has been recorded, and it's called DHAT syndrome, DHAT. And this was noticed in South Asia, where men actually do quite a lot of, you know, have a lot of masturbation. So what happens is that they naturally find they go to pee and there is sperm in the urine.
Oh, it is local.
It's
even
local even.
local.
Basi tuko pamoja na
Yes,
South
it
Asia.
is, yes, it is very local. The young men are coming with that problem. Or even it is coming out by
It is just
itself.
coming out by itself.
Yes.
You know, these are some of the things which we actually need to highlight and say, look, guys, there are going to be consequences in the future when we do some of these things. Nightfall, they call it the nightfall problem, whereby umelala tu, even without you thinking about it,
Yes.
inatoka. Where it is supposed to be, it is supposed to be somewhere else.
Yes.
It's supposed to be in the vagina. Na hiyo nakuta
You don't know how
So
to access it.
how is it? How does it happen in that manner? Like, what has been affected that makes it now just come out when it is not, you know, needed?
The sensitivity.
Sasa nafikiri because the physiology has been affected. And that is why now it just comes out even without you realizing it.
Quite a number of young men are telling you they can see. I mean, they just find it out here. But he tells you, I can't erect for a woman, but this is happening.
Yeah.
And now they are so devastated by the time it's getting there, and you feel so sad because you're like and they'll tell you, I have masturbated for the last 17 years.
So it's like somebody saying you have been smoking for the last 20 years.
Yes,
and
the
then you
sad
tell
bit-
me, stop that smoking today because
exactly.
it's not good for
Yes.
It will not happen just like that.
Thank you.
It will not
Oh,
happen
thank
just
you,
like that.
Daktari.
Cindy,
Because they come and want an answer.
It
there.
will not happen.
There is no answer there.
Remember, there is a pathway, a neuronal pathway in the brain which has been set. And the more we do it, the harder. You know, it's like muscles. Eh?
Yeah.
You imagine our Kipchoge. He's been training for X number of years. Look at those muscles. They are strong.
Yes.
So umwambie leo kwamba from today you are stopping to run. Of course he'll stop to run, but it doesn't
the
mean that the
muscles will
muscles
not soften.
will soften tomorrow.
Yes.
No, they won't.
Yes.
It takes a long time. So now it takes a long time for this reversal to occur.
Yes. And it's a whole investment now to reverse. Reversing is usually the hardest,
a
even
big
when you're
problem.
driving.
Yeah.
For us women, reversing, we get really confused. Because reversing something is very hard.
Yeah.
So I think the message we are also trying to pass, the message we are passing is, if you are already there, you are hooked and you're having these symptoms that we are talking about, please, when you come to us or when you go to seek medical help, do not expect an instant answer, because that is what is leading to people going to the chemist or to wherever to self-medicate to try and find these solutions. Then in the process, they cause so many other problems to themselves that, I mean, you already had a problem, now you've caused more other problems. So when and if you realize you have this problem and you really honestly choose to get help, allow yourself time to recover from it.
How does that process of healing and recovery, reversing these habits look like, Daktari? Practically, for someone who has said, I've heard what you guys are saying, that is exactly what I'm going through.
Yes.
I want out. Where do I start?
I think the first thing, we have very good examples from Alcoholic Anonymous, that before the guys who are addicted to alcohol decide, we can always say, he's my brother, he's my sister, let me take him to rehab. We will take them there once, twice, 10 times. But so long as that decision has not come from inside, it will not work. Take them to rehab, come back and relapse. Take them again, so it comes back again. So that decision has to come from internally.
Yes.
I have a problem. I need
need
help.
help.
So that is the first clarion call. I have a problem. I've realized this is not okay. It is affecting my life, my physical, my social, my emotional, all spheres of my life, and I actually need out. So that is the first thing that we need to look about. Of course, there are people who are trained in helping addicts. It doesn't matter what type of addiction, whether it is alcohol, whether it is marijuana, or whatever it is. So these people need to come on board. Multidisciplinary, I can take care of the health bit. He or she can take care of the social, the social side of it. Somebody else can take care of the psychological bit. Identify what is this that actually brings this, because usually there is something that
An
triggers
underlying,
this.
yes.
What is the underlying factor? Was it that trauma that you had as a child?
Then
Was it that abuse that you had as a child, or whatever is it? Or is it the pressure that you have at work? Whatever it is, there must be a trigger that actually brings this on. Seek that support, and that support can be actually from the very close circles that you have. Men. Seek support. Seek support. That talking in itself. What women beat women beat us about is that they will talk amongst themselves. They say,
in details.
I had this problem, and I went. They say, no. By the way, a friend of mine also had a similar problem, and he went and she went and so and so, and now she's okay. Men, we don't do that. Men, we just keep this to ourselves. Also creating a different routine from what you've been doing. I do this in the morning, I do this, and then our lives are usually routine. I wake up at this time, I go and take a shower, I dress and do this and go to work, and and in the evening this is what happens. And in that routine there is something which is embedded. I have to go and do masturbate at 5, at 10, at midday, at 5.
You have even a time to
you even have a schedule.
Time for it.
And if he finds you in the middle of something, however serious, you have to smoker's break.
I have a meeting online. That sort of thing. And of course, avoid the triggers. Try to avoid the triggers. Completely. And maybe set goals as well, because that is also important. Our minds also work very well when we have set a certain goal and we are working towards it. And when we are busy working towards it, then of course these other things may sort of recede, into the past, as it were. But I think the most important thing is that one of the talking, the psychosocial support that is available, and also sharing. Yeah, I think.
Let me add maybe 2 or 3 other interventions. As Dr. is saying, by the way, they are experts. Even in R&B, if you come, we have someone specifically helping people to recover from pornography and masturbation. It's a psychologist by training. She's a psychologist by training. However, you look at all the aspects of the social, the mental, but relating to sexual behaviors. Yes, so it is very important to seek help from such a person who will be able to help you create now the timetable, a positive timetable, and also not to judge you, to be judged, to feel so judged, because the more you judge yourself, the more it will becoming that. I also know that your diet will play a very major role, because if, for example, you see, this is, as Dr. said, and which is the truth is, this is a whole chemical reaction. If it's a teenager, there are many mechanical reaction in the brain of a teenager is totally different from an older man. So those are some of the things that you observe, and also distract yourself positively. And one of the best distractor is physical activity.
Absolutely.
Physical activity will always use the energy. There are some of the people who get addicted to pornography and masturbation. They tell you, I had too much energy, I needed to release it. So they chose the wrong path. But if you do physical activity, you're helping your body and you're helping yourself. If you don't get proper help, what happens? You can sort out the masturbation and pornography, and then you find something else to run to. That's a challenge I've been seeing with my clients. Then it becomes the same thing.
Because so even alcoholics have had
because you
those
are looking
who move from alcoholism into gambling and those kind of things.
Every form of addiction,
mechanism is the same.
we have to go back to the root cause. If you don't sort it out, you will go and look for something else worse, or something else to cover up to give the good hormone. And that is why we say you must seek help from a professional who will help you solve the root cause.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think this is one of those sessions that have been very real. And, our intention is not to point fingers or to really, make those people who are struggling with one issue or another feel as if they are the worst people, but to help, with information, create awareness, but most importantly, point you to where you can find help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We want to live, a more meaningful and fulfilling life, quality life, while we still can.
Yes.
So thank you so much. But before I let you go, Daktari, how can people find you? For those who have been listening to all these things and they're like, okay, I think I know a lot of doctors, but I want to start with this one.
At least this one is speaking my language.
Yes.
Yeah.
My office is located at 5th Avenue, Suites, on the 3rd floor, Suite 314.
That's on Gong Road
That
in
is on
Nairobi.
Gong Road. Or in Nairobi.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good to
Yes.
say specifically in Nairobi,
Right.
without assuming that everybody knows. Thank you.
Carol.
For our viewer, my name is Carol, your health coach. On all the social media platforms, that's where you can first find me, because I know there are quite a number of people who want to send their anonymous messages. Keep them coming on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Carol, your health coach. You can DM me all those. But I have an office in Thika. My head office is in Thika Town, Section 9, Magoko Road, just before Chania Tourist Lodge. And I work with a company called R&B. R&B is a consultancy company with a group of consultants who are providing all these solutions, coming together to help you live a healthy, full, energetic life. And our component is the diet, and then the psychosocial support. And then the medical, you can go to Daktari. So we are also globally. So if you go to my social media pages, you will find us. You will find our offices in different towns in Kenya and UK, South Africa, Uganda, and Accra, Ghana.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, what else do you need? Nothing is lost. Yeah, nothing is lost. And thank you so much for spending your time watching all these things. We hope that this is information you can share with someone else who needs it more than you do. Have a good time. See you next time.